Hi, everybody. Welcome to our final Conversations with Kristen series for September. I know there's 5 Thursdays in September, but I'm keeping it to 4 topics because I felt like that was just a nice way to kind of wrap up what we've been talking about regarding habits and consistency over the last 4 weeks. So if you're new here, if you're just joining in either on Facebook or on Zoom, my name is Kristen. I'm a licensed therapist, certified personal trainer, and fitness coach. And the heart behind why we've been holding this series is that it is National Recovery Month in September. And me being a person in recovery from alcohol, I thought it would be helpful to talk about what it means in general to create habit change and consistency in your own life and your own ways around the things that you need. And so that's what this is about, is just talking it through. We've week 1, we talked about self-sabotage, and I gave 3 tips on how to navigate self-sabotage. Week 2, we talked about preparing for transformation, and I gave several tips on how to get ready for the change. So many times we impulsively jump into the action stage without really having an adequate plan to be successful. And then last week we talked about what it really means to have a plan that works for you. And then tonight, we're actually going to be talking about how to sustain the changes that you achieve. Okay, so with that, let me change my screen here. So with that, I want to preface this by saying that one of the most common misconceptions that I experience with people that I work with, or just really in general, is that there's like this theme of it taking 21 days to change a habit or to create a habit, 90 days for certain things, you know, the 3-month mark or whatever. But really, guys, when we're talking about creating change and maintaining it, it really is a 6-month, and I would even say a year process. And that's something that's really hard for people to wrap their head around. They're like, huh? A whole year? And I'm like, yes, a whole year, because it's my approach that every season is different. All right, we just hit fall. What, today is the first day of fall? Yesterday was the first day of fall. Anyway, we're right into fall, and I know y'all feel a difference, right? Immediately. It's like, oh yeah, things are different. And I'm not saying it's all based on weather, but it's just about the shift in our world and our mindset and what it means to be in different seasons. And so I really advocate for having a full year in a certain program or a certain lifestyle before you say, I've got it. Okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me backtrack. I want to give you all 3 tips that I would suggest for how to take your change. Say you just started, or you're right on the cusp of having done something consistently for a while, and you're just wanting to make sure this time doesn't turn out like last time. Okay, so the first tip that I'm going to say, and some of this is congruent with what we talked about already, which is pace yourself and be adaptable. So when we were talking about in week 2, talking about preparing for change, and even last week talking about what the right plan is for you, the idea of pacing yourself came up. If you want long-term success, the goals that you set at the beginning should be on pace for you to be consistent with 6 months to a year from now. So I don't know if you remember from last session, I talked about sometimes people will come to me and they'll say, I want to work out 5 days a week for an hour. I want to do keto. I want to sleep for 9 hours a night. I want to read for 30 minutes. I want to do yoga every day. I want to take my dog for a walk. I want to cook at home. I want to, you know, all of this stuff. And my question is, okay, well, do you see yourself doing that 6 months from now? And usually people are like, 6 months from now, like that sounds terrible. And I'm like, right, because it's not realistic, and you're not pacing yourself to be successful for the long term. You're trying to be successful for a week, 4 weeks, 2 months, whatever. I want you to think about what it means to pace yourself for the long haul. So the 6-month mark, 9 months, a year, 2, 5 years from now, can I pace myself and the energy I'm giving to my lifestyle to sustain it through those points, which also brings into account being adaptable. Life stressors are going to happen, transitions, changes, holidays, vacations. You might lose someone in your family, you might have a baby, you might have, all these different things are going to come up. And so you've got to be adaptable with whatever is working. And this usually comes into avoiding the all or nothing mindset. So if you're pacing yourself and you're being adaptable, it's hard to stay in the polarizing all or nothing mindset, which means either I'm all in and I'm going all out, or I'm completely off track, not even thinking about it, completely out. Right? So you've got to make sure that you're checking those all or nothing approaches, which are common in diet culture. Diet culture is big on quick fixes, hurry up and get smaller right now and keep it by any means necessary. That's all an all or nothing mentality that is really not sustainable for long periods of time. And diet culture, different ads and different things will sell you on how. So look at the before and after. You can see it on social media, the before and afters. And it's about that picture says nothing about their ability to maintain that and what it takes for them to maintain the loss that they've gained. And so if they were eating 800 calories, 1200 calories, and they lost a lot of weight for this before and after picture for this product that you're selling me, or this diet that you're selling me, okay, cool. But what does that look like 2 years from now? Are they still doing whatever diet it is? Are they still doing whatever program? And that's really where you want to make sure that you are intentional. Number 2, stay plugged in. All right. At any milestone that you come to in your journey of changing your lifestyle, improving your habits, letting go of things, it is so easy to celebrate when you get to, let me tell y'all, well, I didn't celebrate, but it was like when I first stopped drinking, you get a celebration at the 30, you get a celebration at the 30, 60, 90, 6 months, 9 months, and a year, and then a year after that for everyone. And the reason why they do that is to give you something that celebrates the milestone, but keeps you moving forward. Okay. And so in the world of 12-step for alcohol recovery, that looks like a chip. So it's like, we're going to acknowledge what you're doing, but also we're going to tell you to keep doing it and give you this reminder of what's been working. And we want to see you next week. And we want to see, you know what I mean? Like they continue you moving forward. So many times, and I'm not saying without that it would be the opposite, but so many times when we get to 30 days, we're like, woo, I've been doing this for a long time. I think I think I have earned, or I think I can chill. No. Whatever you do to celebrate your milestones needs to be helping you maintain and move forward. So if that reward or that celebration is something that's pulling you back, then that's a problem. Okay. And that doesn't mean that you can't eat what you want, do what you want, but you got to be really intentional about, are the ways that I'm celebrating moving me forward, or are they keeping me stagnant or moving me back? And that also includes staying plugged in with what works. Okay. Don't let go of whatever helped you get to 30 days of walking or 60 days of cooking at home for the most part. Don't let those things go. Whatever was working, keep it going, and think about that long-term plan, 6 months to a year, before you really start playing with whatever was working. Okay. The last one is to be honest with yourself and with others. Okay. Again, like I always say, all of these are really top tier tips. I wish I could have them all be at number 1, but being honest with yourself and with other people for the long haul and for the long term, I think is so important, because how many times do we regress on something, and out of shame or regret or embarrassment, we don't tell anybody. Okay. So it's like, I was going to the gym and I was working out, I was meeting with my trainer, and I had a bad week, didn't show up, and then I started ignoring my trainer's phone calls. Or I was going to therapy and then I just didn't show up, or I didn't reschedule, and my therapist reached out to me and I just ignored their email because I didn't want to say that I had kind of fully gone back to whatever. You know what I mean? We sometimes do that out of shame and embarrassment. But if we're not honest with ourselves, kind of similar to how we talked about with self-sabotage, if we're not honest with ourselves, we're never really going to get past that cycle. You're going to keep hitting your head against the same wall until you allow some honesty and some vulnerability with someone to help you move past how you get in your own way. So this is kind of a mirror of the self-sabotage thing, in that be honest about the things that you're up against so that you can get support, so that you can not do this thing that you usually do that puts you back at ground zero, and make sure to try and do that as it's happening. You know, so many times it's like, I waited until, and I use like, you know, gym fitness type analogies, but it's like we wait until we're all the way back at ground zero, hadn't done anything for a whole year or 6 months or however before we finally say, I fell off. I don't like where I'm at. I'm not doing the same things. I want to do something different. You got to be doing those things along the way. So if you have a plan to do, to walk 3 days a week, and you've been doing that for however long, and you start to realize now it's 2, okay, now it's 1, be honest at that stage. Don't wait till it's at 0 for 3 weeks straight, if you can help it. Go ahead and tap in and let someone know as it's happening, so that they can help you get back on the right track and prevent that cycle. Okay. And so I'm going to, let me check. I'm streaming to Facebook. I just want to make sure I'm taking care of any comments and questions you guys have. Hey, everybody. Hi. Thank you for showing up. I love to see it. Love to see it. So if you're just joining, we're talking about achieving long-term success. What does it really require in order to have long-term success? What do you really need? And so what we've gone over so far is pacing yourself and being adaptable. We talked about, let me talk about staying plugged in. So don't stop short, keep doing what's working. If it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Celebrate in ways that help you to move forward. Definitely stop and celebrate, but celebrate in ways that help you move forward, and not in ways that are going to have you regress. And so, like I gave the example of, you know, me being a sober person, I'm not going to celebrate my 30-day mark with a shot. No, I'm going to celebrate my 30 days by doing what works and celebrating in ways that move me forward, right? So that's a prime example. Whatever that looks like for you is applicable as well. And then the last one is going to be being honest with yourself and with other people. If you feel like you're regressing, sometimes regression on goals, slipping up in some sort of way, is a part of the process. Okay, so you're not going to do this perfectly. Don't expect yourself to do this perfectly, but you can get help in order to move forward, troubleshoot what happened, and get back on track with what you want to see happen. So with that being said, you guys, let me know if you have any questions. Like I say, I would love to answer any questions that you may have. But I do want to segue into what I announced at the end of our last conversation, and I have been sharing on my pages and in the emails, is that the Be Well program is relaunching October 4th, Monday, October 4th. And I'm actually in the middle of setting up interviews and talking with women about if they're a good fit for the program. And so I think that, you know, segueing from how to achieve long-term success to the Be Well program is just, I mean, I couldn't have planned it any better. You know what I mean? I couldn't have planned it any better, but it's just so fitting to talk about this program, because this program really is something that I truly believe in bridging the gap between doing something just like you always do versus doing something for good, you know. And I actually have women that I've been able to work with that have reached the 6-month mark, that have reached the year mark, and they're not doing it perfectly, and they're not, and it's not without, you know, hard times and difficulty, but they are doing it. That they haven't done what they did the last 5 times that they started. They stuck with it. They were plugged in. They did the work. And then now they're realizing that, wow, it's been 6 months since I signed up for this program. It's been a year since I signed up for this program, and I'm still here working at the same goals that I was working at before. So I definitely want to highlight that Be Well is going to be starting soon, that we've already launched. And so if you feel like this is the time for you to do something different and do something different for good, I think that, you know, you should give it a go and look at the information and see if it's a good fit for you. I'll be glad to answer any questions you guys have live if you have questions about it now. But essentially, it's an 8-week program, and it kind of operates like a course where there's going to be 8 different modules that you'll go through, and we'll actually talk about some of the topics that I've kind of highlighted here in our conversations more in depth. There will be some journaling prompts. There will be some things for you to dig deep and look at further, all for the purpose of getting you past that threshold that usually sends you back to ground zero. Okay, so our whole point is to like, how am I showing up differently? What am I learning differently so that I can push through that point where I usually give up on myself, or something usually gets in the way, or I'm not supported enough to navigate the season that I'm in. That's what those modules help you do. And we also talk about replacing what you're giving up. So if you're giving up something, I have women that were giving up smoking, working on their relationship with food, trying to give up, certain things in that regard to have a healthier relationship. Even some that are dealing with obsessive exercise and trying to give that up and get that into a healthier place. And that also requires healthier coping skills. So you can't really let go of something until you have something that helps you with whatever that thing was helping you with. So if you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you're stressed, if you're lonely, and you give up the one vice or the one thing that you had that was helping you somewhat feel comfortable, then it makes it so much easier for you to go back to that thing if you don't have something else and a healthier coping skill. So we definitely talk about that. And we address your relationship with your body, with food, with exercise. We talk about that as well. And then lastly, we get into how to make this plan that we've created in the program successful for you long-term and next steps. So I thoroughly enjoy the women that I get to work with in this program. It's definitely tailored to a certain type of need. And so if you have been plugged into these conversations, really grasping the concept of them, really understand my headspace and how the program is not a part of quick fixes, diet culture, that sort of thing. It's really a self-discovery program. Then perhaps it's a good fit for you. And in addition to those courses, or to the modules that kind of function like a course, there is a plan for movement. And so if you have goals of getting more exercise, starting to do yoga, getting out and walking, whatever that looks like for you, that's what your movement plan is going to look like. For some people, it is a workout. It is going to the gym. It is lifting weights, getting stronger. That's their goals. But for other people, it's like, I just want to get out and walk, twice a week and stretch when I get home. That's a perfectly good place to start as well. And that's really what makes this program unique, is that there is a plan for movement, but it's a customized thing that really is catered to the ways that you feel and what you do. Okay. So with that being said, I would love to see if we have any questions from anybody. This has been a great series. I've been glad to be able to get on and just talk through essentially what I do, and what I believe in with you all, and have some great dialogue around this. But if there's nothing else that you take away from this, I hope that you would take away that you really can create the changes that you want to see. You just have to be intentional about what that process looks like. Okay. And knowing what we know about some of the quick fixes and diet culture aspects that we're up against, we have to be intentional and be responsible for, saying, I've got to do something different here. I've tried that and I've tried that and I've tried that, and I've really got to get to the root of what's going on with me if I really want to experience those changes and improve my quality of life. Okay. So thank you so much for joining. Hello to everybody who is on Facebook and who's on Zoom with me. I appreciate it. And this recording, along with the other recordings, will be going out to everyone tomorrow. So if you have anybody who would be helped by listening to this recording, definitely shoot them the link. If they sign up, they'll get it tomorrow. And then they can get caught up on all the other conversations. And the same goes for you. If you hadn't heard the other ones, you can definitely get the recordings. And so thank you all so much.